Hello my dear students, welcome back to your favorite channel NEET World. This is Vasavi Ma'am, your biology educator. Yes, so students, in the last session we have started the fourth chapter of your class 7 CBSE science, that is transportation in plants and animals, right my dear students? And in the transportation in animals, we have started the circulatory system, and under the circulatory system we have understood the different types of blood corpuscles, right my dear students, and we have also learned in detail about the functions of blood and how it is involved in the transportation, right, and we have also learned about the leukocytes, thrombocytes and erythrocytes along with their function, right my dear students. Yes. So, coming towards it, today's particular session, today we are going to learn about the one of the most important organ in our body, that is nothing but heart my dear students. Okay. So, today we will discuss about the structure of the human heart. Okay. So, everyone please stay tuned until the session gets end and take the screenshots wherever if necessary. Okay. Yes. So, coming towards the structure of the human heart. Okay. So, the human heart is equal to our fist. Okay. So, can you see? So, it is the size of the human heart is equal to our fist. Okay. And the heart, okay, the heart is located in the thoracic cavity. Okay. Thoracic cavity in the sense chest cavity my dear students. Okay. So, the heart is located in the thoracic cavity in between the lungs. Okay. We have a pair of lungs and in between the lungs at the center the heart is located. Okay, and the lower portion of the heart, okay, can you see here the posterior part here. Okay, so the posterior part of the heart is slightly tilted towards the left. Okay, so can you see here my dear students? So this posterior part of the heart is somewhat pointed in nature and it is going to twist. Okay, it is going to tilt towards the left side. Okay, so that is the reason the left lung is slightly lower. Okay, the left lung is, the size of the left lung is slightly smaller than the right lung, because the reason is the lower portion of the heart. Okay, so this is very pointed in nature and it tilts towards the left side, whereas the upper, the anterior portion here, can you see, it is going to be present towards the right side. Okay, so completely the heart is located in the left side. Okay, isn't it my dear students? And the muscles present inside the heart, okay, those are called as what my dear students? Cardiac muscles. Okay, cardiac muscles. Okay, cardiac muscles are nothing but the muscles present in the heart. Okay, and the heart is surrounded, the heart is surrounded by the membrane. Okay, it is protected and it is surrounded by the membrane called as pericardial membrane. Okay, pericardial membrane my dear students. Okay, everyone please note down. Yes, it is surrounded by the pericardial membrane and the muscles are called as, the muscles of the heart are called as the cardiac muscles. Okay. Yes students, so before understanding about the structure of the heart, we need to understand what are arteries, what are veins and what are capillaries. Okay, so that we will be discussing in this particular structure only my dear students. Okay, so everyone please observe here whatever I am writing. Okay, so first if you see the heart, okay, the heart is divided into 4 chambers beta. Okay, heart is divided into 4 chambers. Okay, can you see? Yes, so it is divided into 4 chambers. Can you see this? This is just the hypothetical diagram students. Okay, so just for the understanding purpose I am making a rough diagram here. You can also look into these particular visuals also. Okay, so it is completely divided into how many chambers? 4 chambers. Okay, so in the 4 chambers we have arteries. Okay, right arteries and yes, right ventricles. Okay students, so you can easily look into this particular visual itself. Okay, so here it is clearly represented. Okay, so completely the chambers present inside the heart are completely 4 chambers. Okay, so in the 4 chambers, the upper 2 chambers are called as auricles. Okay, what it is called as auricles, and the lower chambers are called as ventricles my dear students. Okay, 2 auricles and 2 ventricles. Okay. So here if you see, just I am going to make a note here. Yes. So it is completely divided into 4 chambers. Okay. So in the 4 chambers we have, yes, so in the 4 chambers we have right atrium and right ventricle. Okay. So we have completely 4 chambers, right. So 2 are the auricles and 2 are ventricles. Okay. So here we have, okay, here we have right atrium and right ventricle, and in the other side, okay, in the left side again we have what, my dear students, left atrium and left ventricle. Can you see this partition here? Yes. So can you see here, my dear students? Yes. So this is completely divided into 4 chambers. Can you see? Yes. So this is completely divided. Okay, the heart is divided completely into the 4 chambers. In the 4 chambers, so this upper 2 chambers, okay, these upper chambers are called as auricles, okay, and the lower chambers are called as ventricles. Okay. In the right side we have one right atrium and one right ventricle. In the left side we have again one left atrium and left ventricle. Okay. So completely right ventricle and left ventricle, these two will be of lower chambers, and here, okay, on the upper side right atrium and left atrium, okay, these two will be of the auricles which are present at the upper portion. Okay. Yes. So now what is the main function of the heart, my dear students? To pump the blood to all the body parts, isn't it or not? So the main function of the heart, okay, we are calling the heart as the one of the most important organ, right, my dear students, because it is going to pump continuously throughout the life. Okay, it is going to pump the blood throughout the life to our body. Okay, whenever it is going to stop pumping, at that time it becomes the end point to us, right. So it will pump the blood. Okay, it is the organ which is going to pump the blood continuously throughout the life. Okay. So now we will see how it is going to receive the blood and how it is going to pump and how it is going to give the blood to all the parts of the body. Okay. So how it is going to circulate the blood, that we are going to see now. Okay. So just please look into these particular visuals. Okay. So whatever I am going to explain here. Okay. So can you see here, my dear students? So first have a look on, yes, right atrium. Okay. So first have a look on the right atrium. Can you see here the blue colored structure, whatever I am making to outline here, students. Okay. So this will be the right atrium and this will be the right ventricle, my dear students. Okay. So we have the right atrium and right ventricle. Okay. So now the right atrium will receive the, yes, so now the right atrium will open into the superior vena cava. Okay. The right atrium will open into the superior vena cava. This is the tube like structure. Can you see here this tube, this long tube like structure? Yes. So this right atrium will open into the superior vena cava, and the main function of the superior vena cava is it is going to receive the blood from all the body parts which are located at the anterior side, my dear students. Okay. So it is in the sense it receives the blood just only from the head, okay, from the shoulders, okay, from the lungs. Okay. So from the anterior portions, okay, from at the upper parts, whatever we have the organs, all the blood from these upper organs are going to be received by the superior vena cava. Okay. So it will receive the blood from the upper body parts. Okay. It will receive the blood from the organs which are located at the anterior side. Okay. So now everyone please look here, my dear students. So the superior vena cava will receive the blood. Okay. It receive the blood from the all the anterior portions. Okay. And next one, from here it is going to distribute the blood. Okay. It will give the blood to the right atrium. Okay. And all the blood which is received by the superior vena cava from the anterior portions, that blood is deoxygenated, my dear students. Okay. So what it is? It is of deoxygenated. Okay. Deoxygenated. Deoxygenated in the sense it is not going to contain the oxygen. Okay. So the deoxygenated blood from the right atrium will enter into the right ventricle. Okay, so this will be the right ventricle here. Okay, so this will be the right ventricle. Can you see? Yes. So now here everyone should understand we have divided the chambers of the heart into 4, right. So completely 4 chambers are present, and each chamber, okay, so each chambers are the blood which is present in each chamber is completely located here itself, my dear students. Okay, so we have divided them into different partitions because the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood should not mix, my dear students. Okay, so just now we have, yes, so these are the 4 chambers. Okay, 1, 2, 3 and 4, right. So here in between the first chamber and in between the second chamber there is a partition, and in between the third chamber and in between the fourth chamber there is a partition again, and again in between the first chamber and third chamber again here we can see the partition, right. So it means the blood which is present in the first chamber, it does not moves continuously into the second chamber because there is, okay, there are some valves and there are some septums which are present in between the chambers. Okay, so the main reason of the presence of these septums or else the valves is that the oxygenated and the deoxygenated blood should not mix together, my dear students. Okay, so that is only the main reason. Okay, so now here from the superior vena cava, the blood from the anterior portions it is going to be received, and then from the superior vena cava the blood is going to be sent and the blood is going to be distributed into the right atrium. And from the next, yes, here if you see, you can see one more vena cava that is called as inferior vena cava. Okay, can you see here, my dear students? Yes. So now the inferior vena cava will receive the blood from the lower portions, from the posterior portions of the body like legs, hip, etc. Okay, so from all these body parts the blood will be received by the inferior vena cava. Okay, but the superior vena cava will receive the blood from the upper body parts and the inferior vena cava will receive the blood from the lower body parts, right. Yes. So now here clear up to this? Yes. So from the right atrium the blood, okay, from the right atrium the blood enters into the right ventricle. Okay, so from the right atrium the blood will enter into the right ventricle, my dear students. Okay, so whenever the blood, okay, so in the right atrium whenever the blood is going to be filled, immediately it opens. Okay, immediately the blood is going to be distributed to the left ventricle, but to transport the blood from the right atrium to the right ventricle there is a valve, my dear students. Okay, so there is one valve like structure. Okay, can you see here? Yes. So there is a valve which is located, the valve is called as tricuspid valve. Okay, can you see, this is the tricuspid valve. The tricuspid valve is going to open whenever the blood gets filled in the right atrium. Okay, so completely this will be the right atrium, and whenever this right atrium is filled with the blood, immediately the tricuspid valve will open like this, and from the right atrium the blood will enter into the right ventricle. Okay, so completely clear with this particular part. Okay, so this will be the superior vena cava which will receive the blood from the upper portions, and the blood is actually it is deoxygenated. Okay, so this can you see here? So this all the blue colored structure, whatever it is present, it indicates that the blood is deoxygenated. Okay, so from here it enters into the right atrium. At the right atrium the tricuspid valve is present which opens. Whenever the tricuspid valve opens, the blood is going to enter into the right ventricle, my dear students. Okay, so from here, okay, now everyone please try to focus in this particular diagram. Okay, so can you see? Yes, so this will be the superior vena cava. Okay, so the blood will enter into the right atrium, and here the tricuspid valve will open. Whenever the tricuspid valve opens, complete blood from the right atrium will distributed and it transfers into the, yes, right ventricle. Okay, so from the right ventricle the blood enters into the pulmonary arteries. Okay, can you see this blue colored tube? Yes. So, here completely the blood is deoxygenated, my dear students. Okay. So, to make the blood oxygenated, there is one more artery that is called as pulmonary artery. Okay. So, the pulmonary artery will carry the blood. The pulmonary artery will carry the deoxygenated blood from the right atrium and the right ventricle. Okay. So, whenever this pulmonary artery will carry the deoxygenated blood, here just I am drawing the lungs, my dear students. Okay. Just for the understanding purpose, I am just drawing the lungs here. Okay. Yes. So, clear now? Yes. Okay. Yes, students. So, this pulmonary artery is connected to the lungs. Okay. So, this pulmonary artery is connected to the lungs and it is going to contain the deoxygenated blood, and the blood becomes oxygenated and the oxygenated blood is going to be transported from the pulmonary vein. Okay. So, from here, so this will be the pulmonary artery of the lungs, and next this one will be the pulmonary veins of the lungs. Okay. So, the pulmonary artery will contain the deoxygenated blood, and after complete oxygenation, the pulmonary vein, can you see here, the pulmonary vein will carry the oxygenated and pure blood from the lungs. Okay. Clear? So, now the red colored arrow structures, whatever can you see here, these it is the pulmonary vein which will carry the oxygenated and the pure blood. Okay. So, from the pulmonary vein, the blood enters into the left atrium. Okay. Can you see? So, from the pulmonary vein, the blood enters into the left atrium, and whenever the blood gets filled inside the left atrium, then next again the blood from the left atrium will open into the left ventricle. Okay. The blood which is filled in the left atrium, it has to be transported and it has to be distributed to the left ventricle. Okay. So, to transport the blood from the left atrium to the left ventricle, there is one more most important valve that is called as mitral valve. Okay. It is also called as bicuspid valve, my dear students. Okay. So, the valve presented in between the right atrium and the right ventricle is called as tricuspid valve, whereas the valve present inside the left atrium and the left ventricle is called as bicuspid valve, or else it is also called as mitral valve, my dear students. Okay. Clear now? So, from these from the pulmonary vein, the oxygenated blood will enter into the left atrium. Next, it gets filled into the left ventricle. Okay. So, from here the pure oxygenated blood, it will enter into the another another tube like structure that is called as aorta. Can you see here? So, this is called as the aorta. Okay. So, from this left side, the complete pure and the oxygenated blood will get transferred and it will be opening into the aorta, and from here the pure blood will gets transferred to the aorta with the help of the valve. Okay. So, here again there is a valve that is called as aortic valve. Okay. So, whenever the aortic valve will open, the oxygenated blood present in the left atrium and in the left ventricle, it is going to be distributed and easily it is going to be transferred into the aorta. Okay. So, this is all about the structure of the heart, my dear students. Okay. Yes. So, if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment sections, my dear students. Okay. So, just once again I am going to summarize the complete structure of the heart, and then next we will just understand what are the capillaries also. Okay. So, look here, my dear students. So, this will be the structure of the heart. Okay. So, the size of the heart is equal to our fist, right. So, where actually the heart is located? In between the lungs in the thoracic cavity. Okay. And the heart is surrounded by and it is protected by the membrane called as pericardial membrane, and usually it is going to contain the cardiac muscles. Okay. So, completely the human heart is divided into 4 different chambers, right. So, in the 4 chambers we have so in the 4 chambers we have the right atrium and the right ventricle, again we have left atrium and the left ventricle. Okay. So, here the superior vena cava will receive the blood from the anterior portions like head and the neck and shoulders. Okay. So, all the blood whatever the superior vena cava is receiving, actually it is a deoxygenated blood, it means it is impure. Okay. It is not going to contain the oxygen, just it is going to contain the carbon dioxide, right. So, whenever the superior vena cava will receive the blood, at that particular time all the deoxygenated blood will enter into the right atrium here. Okay. So, from the right atrium again it is going to enter into the right ventricle. Okay. So, all the blood whenever it is going to enter into the right ventricle, there is a valve called as tricuspid valve. Whenever the valve gets opened, at that particular time only the blood from right atrium will enter into the right ventricle. Okay. So, again the inferior vena cava will receive the blood from the posterior portions of the body. Okay. So, from here, from the inferior vena cava, okay, from the inferior vena cava again the blood is going to enter into the pulmonary arteries. Okay. Pulmonary artery is the main artery which is going to carry the deoxygenated blood. Okay. It carries the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. Okay. So, inside the lungs the blood gets purified and it becomes oxygenated. Afterwards the oxygenated blood is going to be carried and it is going to be sent with the help of the pulmonary vein. Okay. Pulmonary vein will carry the oxygenated blood. Okay. The red colored arrow. Okay. From the pulmonary vein the blood gets entered into the left atrium, and whenever the blood gets filled inside the left atrium, it opens and it is going to transfer into the left ventricle. Okay. So, to transfer the blood from the left atrium to the left ventricle, there is one more important valve called as mitral valve, or else it is also called as bicuspid valve. Okay. So, completely the oxygenated blood, it is going to enter into the aorta, it is going to enter into the main aorta, and it is also called as systemic artery. Okay. So, from here complete oxygenated blood will distribute to the entire body, my dear students. Okay. So, this is all about the complete structure of the heart. Okay. And the capillaries are nothing but the small network like tubules. Okay. Just I am going to show you the visual here, my dear students. Yes. So, these are nothing but the capillaries. Okay. So, what are capillaries now? Capillaries are the finest tubules. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, this is the artery. Okay. So, from the artery there are many sub branches which are going to be divided, and these branches, okay, these are actually the small minute tubules. Okay. So, when compared to the arteries and veins, the size of the capillaries is very small. Okay. Yes. So, these are the very minute tubules. Okay. So, these capillaries are connected to the veins. Okay. So, capillaries are the minute tubules which are going to connect, okay, which here is going to be connected to the arteries and veins. Okay. So, again you need to understand here the functions of the capillaries. Okay. So, what actually the capillaries will do. Okay. See here, capillaries are the smallest blood vessels. These are going to connect the arteries to the veins. Okay. So, in between the arteries and veins only we can find what, my dear students? We can find the capillaries, and they have very thin walls through which, okay, so the walls of the capillaries is very thin actually when compared to the arteries and the veins. Okay. So, due to the presence of the very finest thin walls for the capillaries, they will perform some important functions like they will help in exchange of gases and digested food. Okay. So, they will yes. So, through which oxygen, digested food and carbon dioxide and waste products are exchanged. Okay. So, in our lungs also we have a minute capillaries. Okay. So, actually the capillaries will be involved in the exchange of gases. Okay. The walls of the capillaries will be of very finest and very thin, my dear students. Okay. So, this is the reason where easily the exchange of gases and exchange of the digested food materials is going to be taken place. Okay. Yes. So, this is all about the structure of the heart. Okay. So, under the circulatory system we have done about the different types of blood corpuscles. Okay. So, under that we have covered three most important blood cells, that is nothing but leukocytes, erythrocytes and thrombocytes. Okay. So, this is about the structure of the heart, and arteries and veins also has been done. Okay. Yes. So, in the next upcoming session we will also discuss more about the excretory system, and few most important topics are also going to be explained in the next session, my dear students. Okay. So stay tuned with the NEET World, like, share and subscribe.